Hi, welcome to the second episode of Van Build. In this episode, I will walk you through how we build our van floor. So, as said before, we first started by cleaning everything. So here, actually, the floor looks pretty nice. We painted with anti-rust paint or primer, however it's called, and we went to pick up some more from the store because it just was not enough. We ended up actually painting the whole floor with this white anti-rust paint because there was just so much rust everywhere. After this, we filled the small holes with silicone, and after that we used XPS foam board to make a template that we would use to cut the plywood and the reflective insulation that we would put next. So we put the XPS foam according to the floor of the van and numbered the plates so we would know how to use them as templates. After this, Ritvars was measuring these plywoods and then sawing them. We have a figure saw, but for some reason Ritvars really wanted to do this manually. So here you can see how he's cutting these all small corners and curves with this saw. After cutting the plywood, we made sure that it would fit perfectly the van and adjusted the pieces a little bit. Here you can see Ritvars was spreading some linolol over the plywood, which protects the plywood from mold. So now we have all the XPS foam boards and plywood pieces cut into their correct sizes. And we're ready to start the van insulation. We first started with the insulation of the cracks on the floor. For this I've seen American and Canadian van lifers to use something called Minicell XPS foam board, but I could not find it in Europe. The point of this Minicell is that it's very thin because these cracks in our van were about 0.8 centimeters high, and it's really hard to find any insulation which is so thin. So we made our own insulation from Rockwool, which is very cheap and I think you can find it anywhere. It took a lot of time to cut these small pieces and to put them on place, but I think it should do the trick. We did not glue the Rockwool strips onto the floor because we were going to use glue for the next layer, which is the XPS foam board layer. This foam board was 2 centimeters thick for us, and I just spread some spreadable foam glue on top of them and put them to their correct places. So next layer was going to be the reflective layer. We used 0.5 centimeter thick reflective, which is an insulation also. It has in the middle this kind of bubble wrappy turquoise insulation, and then on both sides reflective surfaces. So this reflective insulation was also glued to the place by spray foam glue. Now we have the Rockwool strips, then we have the XPS foam board, and then we have the reflective insulation. Now it's time to put our plywood in. Like all other van builders, we also Googled and searched for a lot of information, and there's a lot of different kind of information about basically everything regarding building vans. And one of them is if you need a floor grid or not. And we decided to not build a grid because it made more sense to us. And we also decided not to attach the plywood onto anything. So all those other insulation layers are attached to each other and onto the floor by spray foam glue. But the top part, this plywood, is not attached to anything. But I suppose it's supposed to just be kept in place by the structure of the car. We stole some rocks from the neighborhood and put them as weight so that the spreadable glue, which is in between all of the layers, for sure dries straight. And here you can see very successfully I put in the spray foam insulation to the edges just to seal things off. Yay! Both and thanks for watching this episode.